How's everybody doing out there? All right, guys. Today we have a special interview for you guys tonight. Um, thank you for Raul Reyes Jr., retired Lieutenant Colonel, to taking the time to come and visit us and speak a little bit about issues that are going down here in the border and elaborate a little bit more. Of course, he's retired Lieutenant Colonel Raul Reyes, former cyberspace officer and regional affairs specialist. Most notably in our area, he was the opponent to Congressman Tony Gonzales in the Republican primaries. Um, what Tony Gonzales did end up the congressman by a very, very slim margin. And we have an opportunity to speak with Raul Reyes, and he gave us an opportunity and a chance to get in contact with him and have this interview. So we're lucky to have him tonight. So, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and bring him on, Raul Reyes, to just introduce him. You guys, he'll introduce himself too. Without further ado, Raul Reyes Jr. Guys.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? Isaac, good to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
No, we thank you for taking the time and coming to visit with us and everything. I know we've been trying to get a little interview for a couple of weeks now, and tonight's the night, right? And we've been anticipating this interview with you. Like I said, I think you're well known in our community as you were the Republican opponent to Congressman Tony Gonzales, and we'll get into that a little bit later, of course. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, I mean, I follow you on social media and everything, and I see you're pretty active still, even though you may not have won congressman a couple of years ago, but you're still very active in the communities and visiting areas and everything. So what I wanted to ask is what are you up to nowadays? What's going on?
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for having me and for everybody watching this show. By the way, I promote the Rising Texan News as the place to come for legitimate news, and we can get into that later as well. Well, we've been busy, and one of the things I wanted to do tonight, aside from discuss whatever you want to talk about, is we're having a rally on 15 May in Carrizo Springs, and the good people down there in Dimmitt County have a big issue with the asylum shelters. We call them the fast track processing for illegal alien centers, and they don't like what's happening down there. And so we're having a rally 15 May, folks. That's this coming Saturday at 10 o'clock. If you want to show up at 9 o'clock, we're not going to go too long, maybe 2.5 hours. We've got a list of incredible speakers. And as you can see right there, myself, Rafael Cruz, Pastor Tovar, and a slew of other good folks, of course. Peter Perez down there on that left side of the corner there, and his family. They're leading the way down there. And Isaac, this goes to what I've said all along is there's a couple of things that people want in this part of Texas and actually all of Texas and throughout the U.S., and that is security. And for us here, that now is border security. It's always has been. And then, of course, jobs. And when I ran my campaign, that's what I was about. And, of course, now more than ever with this crisis that's been created leave no room for doubt, no matter what I say here tonight, this is a Biden administration created crisis. And like him or not, the previous administration, the Trump administration, solved this. And so we have a mess now. And so what we're doing is holding this rally to bring attention to folks like Greg Abbott, and you'll see it there. And of course, Mr. Tony Gonzales, who is the rep, and any other Democrat, Republican out there that can help with this. Certainly, we've got Cuellar, Filemon Vela, and then, of course, the other Gonzales. And then, of course, on the far El Paso side over there on the west side is Escobar. And Mr. Gonzales owns 800 miles of this border. None of them seem to want to tackle this. And so that's why we're here. We're having this rally to bring attention and get some people's attention.
What caused this rally? I mean, I know you touched on a little bit of it, but In your perspective, is this I mean, you mentioned Biden administration. Is this just a total fail on their part? I mean, I see there's a lot of people ready and lined up, and like I said, I've seen on several social media pages and everything. As you mentioned, Peter, I've been in contact with Peter Perez, of course, as well, and we have a interview lined up with him as well, so he can tell us what he sees on his side. Um, what what's causing all this? What, in your
Yeah.
opinion, what's the direct, I mean, what's going on? What's the issue as it climbs up all the way to the Biden administration that you mentioned?
Yeah, it's a couple of things, quite a few things. Of course, there's some executive orders that were put in place in the previous administration that we can now compare, a year and a half ago to now with the current administration. So that's the big one right there. It's, the migrant protection program that was placed by the Trump administration, the Biden administration has removed. And then, of course, the catch and release program, that's all a mess as well. And God bless the Border Patrol and law enforcement out there doing the best they can. But the rally itself is but one indication. And if you look, you said it just now a little bit ago, if you look across Texas, even if you just look at Facebook or any social media, what you're seeing is, a lot of folks creating their social media pages and groups. There's a few out there like the Texas for Truth, and then of course the Texans for Closing the Border, and then of course our page and every other page out there that is surrounded or is founded on the fact that we have a mess, a crisis, and people want to solve this. And so you're starting to see a lot of these rallies and people trying to get attention of a few folks. One of them is Greg Abbott, who, in my opinion, has a lot to do with the solution here. And of course, the rally itself is, it's a peaceful get together. We're at a church, folks. We're at 20 acres on a church grounds there. Bring your signs, bring your drinks, your non-alcohol beverage drinks, and bring a tent and hang out with us. We're going to pray. We're going to have speakers, and we're going to draw attention to folks like Greg Abbott, but also Mr. Gonzales and the other representatives that are on this district. And the biggest thing for us is what's the solution? For right now, our representative, District 23, his solution is to open up more asylum shelters. And it's a huge contradiction to what Texans want. So it's sort of like, guys, it's sort of like, instead of putting out the fire, they sort of want to try to control it and pretend like they're fixing things, and they really are not. And so what we have ourselves is asylum shelter after asylum shelter. We call them the fast track illegal alien processing centers. By the way, illegal alien is in the Constitution. Whether you think it's PC or not, it's in the Constitution. That's how we describe folks that come into this country illegally. And what we're seeing is a mass migration. It's an illegal mass migration. Take, for instance, in Carrizo Springs, which is Dimmitt County. And this is but one example, folks. When they open up these shelters, they have to hire teachers, cooks, dietitians, and all this support personnel. Well, it's drawing teachers away from Carrizo Springs. And so what happens is solidly, good, wonderful teachers and support personnel are now going to work at the asylum shelters because they're paying a lot more money. Now, Dimmitt County, Zavala, Maverick, all the way to Valverde, this southern part of Texas is economically depressed from years and years of our leadership telling us that globalism is the way to go. So we lost manufacturing, we lost all kinds of stuff. And so from a very economical perspective, I can see why people are drawn to the asylum shelters. But from a political perspective, this is why they're putting them in these depressed economic areas, not because they're helping people, but because a lot of people aren't going to say anything. They're paying jobs. They're high paying jobs. And so they have us over a barrel, so to speak. They had one in Bexar County, Isaac, and they're about to close it down because guess what? It's, it doesn't make sense to put it there. They made a lot of noise earlier because some of the children were sexually exploited or something happened. I don't know if you saw Greg Abbott was out there And so they're closing that one down. But they're opening up in places like Dilley, Donna, Texas, El Paso. These are all places where, yeah, we need jobs, but not these kinds of jobs. And from a biblical perspective, which is why we're getting together with this rally, is this is an evil that is on the land of Texas, and we want it gone. And for Mr. Gonzales or Greg Abbott or any of the other representatives to do nothing is not the answer. And so this is why we're here today. And of course, I did say, yeah, I'm an open book. Any question you want to ask, I'm going to be here for it. But that's what's happening. The solution lies with a guy like Greg Abbott, who's done absolutely nothing. Now, before I get slammed for that, yeah, he moved the National Guard into the southern border, and he's got a lot of DPS down there. But would it surprise all of you if I told you that? And we love National Guard. I'm a retired 22-year lieutenant colonel, active duty Air Force. So I'm not slamming anybody. What I'm telling you is when we utilize National Guard personnel down on the border, there are folks that we tend to give binoculars and we say point when you see something, because they cannot arrest anybody. They cannot process anybody. Only immigration officers can do that. And the DPS are down in force all along Highway 90 and into 67, 277, all the way down to Laredo, which is wonderful. Love those guys. Some of my best friends are DPS and Texas Rangers. But they themselves, they can catch criminals. But when it comes to immigration, they have to refer it back to Border Patrol. So it all looks great. It's awesome. And we're trying to play team. But the solution is back to Governor Greg Abbott to do something. He has a 10th Amendment sovereign state right to do something and defend Texas when the federal government fails to do it. Now, that said, the only Republican on this border needs to stop trying to open up more asylum shelters. Tony Gonzales, that's not what we want. And we're saying it loud and clear. And by the way, he's avoiding town halls left and right. I'm here to tell folks, every time you see these photo ops, because that's what that is, you show up, but you don't allow people to ask questions. That's not very representative of being a congressman. So, I'm not here to totally bash him, but given the opportunity, we will.
Well, now that you mentioned, let's get back to the asylum, these shelters. I do know that we're trying to pass some legislation just recently to open, I think, 4 more in this region, 4 more facilities in this region. And can you explain a little bit as to why, that's not the solution that, I know it's the solution being brought by Congressman Tony Gonzales, and he's supporting that. But can you give us your view as to why, that's not going to solve the problem that we have right now?
Yeah, it's coming down to resources, because what we're doing already with the asylum shelters that are already here, the fast track for illegal aliens, is all we've done is become a machine at the federal level. People come to the river, they cross, they claim asylum, and boom, you're in the United States. Forget the legal line for getting your citizenship, that we have thousands of people waiting 4 or 5 years. So how does that make it right for them? And then, of course, as I demonstrated earlier with, just the teachers and personnel that support these things, they're being sucked out of our cities, which are already economically depressed. Law enforcement, to no end, it's car chase after bailout after car chase after bailout. On 277 north of Del Rio, Texas, we had, I think it was 6 or 7 people died when the coyote ran into somebody else coming from north to south. Yeah. And so those are the things we're all in harm's way around here. Kenny County, which is between Del Rio and of course San Antonio, is seeing a large influx of car chase after car chase. And now there's a geographical reason why that happens. But the bottom line is these asylum shelters, all they're going to do is they're going to drain more resources from the community. The U.S. citizen is going to have to pay for all these people that come here. They're not educated. I'm not sure where they're going to work. And here's the other piece is they were doing what they call NTAs, which is a notice to appear. Notice to appear is NTA. You would come here, they'd give you a notice to appear, you'd go away and then come back 2 years for your hearing. Well, they're not even doing that anymore. So I don't understand. It's a rhetorical question, but we all don't understand why the federal government is doing it this way, other than it's purposeful. So for our representative to throw in with the Biden administration to add more asylum shelters is sort of what, like Donald Trump said, we have a lot of stupid politicians, and that sort of fits the bill here. Now, let me throw in a couple of folks. John Cornyn and Henry Cuellar, because they're calling this a bipartisan, and Tony Gonzales are leading the charge on more asylum shelters. So we're blaming, we're looking at John Cornyn the same way. I mean, what happened here? You're a Republican. People don't want these things. Now, if you were to look at John Cornyn and, of course, Mr. Will Hurd, the previous congressman in 2014, they got money from these asylum shelter contracts, you see? And so this is where, it's a tip for tat. And there's a reason that Donald Trump won in 2016. Immigration was key. So now it's completely broken again. And to have Republicans who say they're conservative, who said they were going to seal the border and build a wall and fix immigration, turn around and abandon all of that, and then open up more asylum shelters, that's political, not just hypocrisy, but it's just absolutely ridiculous. So opening up more of these has a lot to do with taxes, resources that we can't afford in our community, and more importantly, security we're not getting, because guess what? There's just not enough law enforcement out there to do it. They're being overtasked, and I tell everybody, pray for law enforcement, all of them, the federal, county, and state, and of course our Texas Rangers. They're doing fantastic, but I don't know how much longer they can sustain this.
Yeah, of course, and besides the bill, we have also seen Congressman Gonzales support a local asylum shelter that we have here in Eagle Pass as well. And I think I second your concept to where asylum shelters and all these facilities that we're building doesn't really mitigate the issue that we have, rather than just set up a ticking time bomb for later. I don't know.
Let me drop this. Not conspiracy at all, but there was a few people that sort of, and this is what the establishment does, folks. And let me restate what I said earlier. This is the Biden, a Democrat administration, created mess and crisis. We're here because they essentially broke what was fixed. Sure, could we do it better? Could we tweet a little nicer? It doesn't matter to me. We now have a mess because a Democrat administration has done this. And by the way, there's silence. I don't. Let me throw a few other people around here. Where's Eddie Morales? Where's Roland Gutierrez? And they don't have to be the direct solution, but if they see the security that their constituents issues they're having, why haven't they said anything, or have they, and we just haven't heard them? I welcome them to come to the rally, speak, come over and do like the mayor in Del Rio did, who literally threw down against Biden for the mess that he's created. Mm-hmm. And that I'm aware of, Bruno is a Democrat, and so good for him. But the bottom line is we don't have enough Democrats, jumping in here. And of course, Mr. Gonzales was endorsed by an establishment group. Michael McCall is out of Dallas-Fort Worth. That's one. And of course, Dan Crenshaw out of Houston. And of course, we have Kevin McCarthy, who's the leader of the Republican Party. So let me throw this out there. Michael McCall, a year ago, endorsed Endeavors. Endeavors is one of the non-governmental organizations, NGOs, that has received, along with two other NGOs, not but a week or two or three ago, $2 billion. Let me say that again with a B, $2 billion. And I'll be happy to provide these sources. It's in the news. There's three total, but Endeavors and two other NGOs received $2 billion. And by the way, folks, this was a no-bid contract. Now, Michael McCall, a Republican, endorsed this Endeavors NGO a year ago. And then we have Tony Gonzales 1 week, almost 1.5 weeks after he gets elected. Guess where he's at, Isaac? He's right down there in your neck of the woods with, is it Border Mission or Mission Border?
Yes.
Doing a video with the director. I think her last name is Wheeler. Am I right about that?
I believe so.
Okay, and she's married to Victor Wheeler. Is that correct? From the Eagle Pass Leader News. Is that I just confirm or deny that?
Yeah.
And these are the same people that during my campaign ran me down as some kind of thug from Del Rio, although I'm a retired lieutenant colonel with not less than 5 top secret clearances. And but all that is in the FEC, folks. You can look all that up. Now, why am I saying all that? Because it's all together. They're all, this establishment eventually is going to work toward amnesty. We already don't have enough jobs down here in South Texas. We don't have enough manufacturing. China has all of that thanks to a bunch of Bushes and Clintons and Obamas and Clintons and Bushes from years back from the 80s when they sold us globalism. If you go to Piedras, right across from Eagle Pass, if you go to Ciudad Acuña, right across from Del Rio, the middle class on the Mexican side is doing a lot better than the middle class on the Texas side because they have all the maquiladoras on that side. Mm-hmm. Like it or not, if you just have to stare over and you see all the manufacturing, if you go 2.5, 3 hours south, I forget the name, but they have Little Mexico, Detroit City down there because that's where Ford and all these plants built all these parts for the cars. Why did they not put them in Eagle Pass? Why did they not put it in Del Rio? Why isn't that something Tony Gonzales and Michael McCall and Kevin McCarthy are fighting for us? And by the way, unless we secure this border, I don't know of any company that's going to move anything into these parts. And so this is why more shelters doesn't make any sense. And of course, and I'm not a fan of the Eagle Pass Leader News. I said it, Isaac, not you.
Well, I mean, since you're touching on that subject already, what I wanted to ask, I guess directly, was this issue. I guess maybe stepping a little bit back, this issue here has caused such a problem in our region, to where there's several. I mean, I've seen them, and I'm sure you have seen them. I know Tony Gonzales has seen them because he shared one of the photos that we found on one of these pages, and we recently shared about the 5 babies, all under the age of 6, that were found in Quemado, Texas, not too far from the river. And Tony Gonzales was there right away to have a video with them and with the people that found them, the farmers, the property owners. And you see these pages popping up. Can you talk a little bit about the people that you've met along this way that, these problems are happening? I know before all this happened with, these young girls. I mean, I've seen you on these pages hosting these meetings in these areas and speaking with these people. So is this directly a problem for allowing these asylum people to be around, or can you touch on that, please?
Yeah, and look, they both correlate. You cannot have one without the other. We didn't have any of these asylum shelters during the Trump administration, and we didn't have this problem. Sure, we still had illegal immigration, but nowhere near. In fact, it was curtailed. The Border Patrol will tell you they're fans of the previous administration because they got to do their jobs. And so, look, I mean, if you shine the light and say, come this way because we're wide open, this is what has to happen. And opening up more asylum shelters is not the answer. Now, of course, you're referring to, there's a lot of people that are starting rally. In fact, we were in Comstock not too long ago. And by the way, we're activists for the border and bringing jobs to the state of Texas, into places like Maverick, Valverde County, Demet, Zavala, who lost a lot of these years ago. And so you don't have to be a congressman to do that. And I've dedicated myself to at least talking to people about what we can do and trying solutions. Well, we were approached by a group of Texans that said, we have a delegation that's coming in from Wisconsin. And they want to see firsthand what the reality is. So we took them down to the border, and in Del Rio, the wall right there, smack in the middle of right near the bridge is the Obama wall, and then the Trump wall that literally got stopped. There's no construction there anymore, and so we toured them, and in of itself, it provides a solution, and this is why we're here. and we want you to go to the rally on 15 May. I'm going to keep saying that throughout here, Isaac. And the reason for that is because we need a lot of attention. The national media barely is starting to touch on some things. The 5 children, the 5 little girls. I mean, what an insanity that is. And of course, Mr. Gonzales, a typical politician, runs down there. But what he, and again, there's some words that pop up. I feel bad for the guy. I don't think he has the sesos for what he's doing there, because the bottom line is you cannot open more asylum shelters and expect for this to stop. Now, we went to Comstock, and there's pictures on my page. They packed the house. It wasn't for me. It was for that delegation. But what you see is these people in Comstock, which is a very small community. It's made up of a lot of ranchers and farmers out there, mostly ranchers. And they packed their community event, hoping to express to the delegation or anybody that would listen the problem. And of course, lo and behold, I'm 100% Mr. Gonzales saw that. In fact, we have a video. I don't know if we want to play it now or later, but for everybody, if I can just set it up, if you can play it here in a minute, this is not the reaction we need from a congressman. What we need is as much attention as we can, going down to the location where you saw the children. Now here, before we play, here he is, and he's about to say something, and then I'll come back and chime in.
The bottom line is, how does that help us become any more safe? Like, we got to be able to roll up our sleeves. This is a reality. Most people that are coming down here, they're coming down for a photo op. They want to be able to go, I was on the border. That delegation that came down, they were state reps. They can do absolutely nothing. Like,
yeah.
How does that help us become any more safe?
Sorry about that.
We got to be able to roll up our sleeves. This is a
Yeah, so just a couple of things, if I can point out. As you can see, it's a very limited group of people there. And I know some of those ranchers. We got a commissioner or two in there that I'm aware of. And but where are the rest of the people from Del Rio? Why isn't he, put the Civic Center or something over in Maverick? And he was at Miguelitos here 2 days ago. You had to RSVP and submit questions. Boy, does that not sound like Joe Biden to you? I thought this guy was a Republican. And here's what he's saying on that, folks. He's saying that whatever little rallies or pages you're creating to make noise about the border does you no good. It does you no good to do that. And so you ought to do it in spite of him, because he obviously is clueless, and or he's one of those that Trump qualified as, just we have stupid politicians. That's all there is to it. And I'm not holding back, guys, mostly because when I think about the 5 little girls that just left there, it's time we start poking the bear in the face and saying, look, start doing your job and start listening to the constituents. Get yourself down to a civic center in all their 5 major areas and start taking it like a big boy you said you were. Because I've been everywhere, and everybody is upset with the fact that we have a broken border. And it's a crisis, no doubt, created by the Biden administration, but it is not helped any by an establishment Rhino, R-I-N-O. I know people spell it like R-H, like the animal, right? It's R-I-N-O, which is a Republican in name only. There's a group inside the Republican camp that's not doing anything they need to do. And Tony Gonzales is one of them. So he's going to learn to listen to us, or he's going to hear us in the next primary and in the next November elections. So there it is. I mean, we wanted to show the video because this is, why does he care? If he doesn't care about what people do, then hey, let people do their part to try to solve the problem here. Greg Abbott has the solution, but having Tony Gonzales go backwards on us is not the answer either. And by the way, that goes to all the other Democrat representatives who have been silent. Let me ask them, silent. And I mentioned the Democrat representatives, Eddie Morales and Roland Gutierrez. Silence. I dare you, say something. Okay, if you don't have the solution, at least chime in for the people you represent, that we have a mess down here. And instead of, avoiding it altogether. So that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, of course. And one thing that I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure Tony Gonzales has been everywhere, right? Just most recently taking the photos with the video he did with the people and ranchers that did find these young girls left abandoned, unfortunately. We did want to thank you for taking your time to sit down and interview with us. I mean, we've been trying to get a reach of Congressman Gonzales, and we've been somewhat unsuccessful. We did see one of our, colleague.
Yeah, he was
news
over there with the Eagle Pass Leader News, his buddy Victor Wheeler. Hey, you get listen. He's media. It's kind of like talking to the National Enquirer over there. Remember those guys? Next thing you know, you've got cows and spaceships mating or something. Look, I have no respect for them at all. And Mr. Gonzales needs to get down to the real media, which is the Rising Texan, and sit down with you and take some real questions and stop slithering around. That's what he needs to do. So yeah, I hope you get him. Good luck. He's not going to show up.
Well, I mean, and we have a little bit of questioning for you as far as some of the claims that we saw coming out from other news media sources here locally, coming out very heavily and I guess accusing you of certain things during your campaign just recently, when you were running against Congressman Gonzales. Some of the things we did see out there was something of some documents with an alleged relationship with when you were working with the Southwest Texas State Junior College Board, and I mean, we read up on some of it, but like I say here, we always like to go to the source and ask them directly. Yeah. What was it that happened with that, if you don't mind us asking?
Yeah, what that was is it was Victor Wheeler and the Eagle Pass Leader News making up a bunch of crap, and I called them. I said, "Hey, you want to interview me? Why didn't you print that? Why didn't you get a hold of me before you printed that?" And if you look at Victor Wheeler's Facebook page, him and Mr. Gonzales are buddies. They have been. He was up in Washington, D.C. with him. Who does that? Isaac, yeah, I like you, but if I were your congressman, this is about the relationship we're going to have right here. I'm not taking you to D.C. to act like we're buds, because you have to do your job and I have to do mine. And so the bottom line is, as we say in Espanol, es pura mentira, because we called them out on them. And they wrote that article with a lot of nuance. So people who really read it realized, okay, this is a hit job. And they all knew that. And of course, but that was part of the tactic back during the campaign for Mr. Gonzales to do that. In politics, especially in the Republican Party, they have this, Ronald Reagan had this rule. He used to call it the 11th commandment. And it was, thou shalt not talk bad about other Republicans. Well, we essentially just exposed him for who he really is. He's a LULAC guy. I mean, he gave money to LULAC. He's definitely endorsed by all the establishment rhinos. Michael McCall, like I said, who endorsed endeavors a year ago, like he knew something was coming, you see, and Kevin McCarthy as well, who is an open borders guy. By the way, Tony Gonzales and all these cats, they call themselves Republican representatives, which, by the way, not all of them, just a few in the bunch. And I'm sure both parties have that. Folks, and let me say this one more time. I am not a Democrat. I bash them all the time. But I'm here to clean house on both sides of the aisle. And so U.S. Chamber of Commerce gave a lot of money to all these folks. And the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, you just have to Google them. What you'll realize is they're for open borders. They've already encouraged Joe Biden to bring in more asylum shelters. So, and all the companies that are part of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce have donated to these people. So whose side are they on? And then we got Democrats remain silent. So they're all bought off. But back to the question. None of that is true. Absolutely nothing. I have a couple of rules in my life, okay? And in the Air Force, it's always service before self, integrity, and then excellence in all the things that we do. I live by those rules. But the one that I live by all my life is honor mother and father, because that's how you're going to honor God. Why would a guy from Del Rio grow up, do everything right, be a lieutenant colonel? I'm no saint. I'm not telling you this or that. What I'm saying is, why would I steal $1 million from the junior college? Because that's what they said. That's what I was accused of. That's all wrong. I mean, and something about none of that was true. And if they wrote the story with a lot of ambiguity, because this is how they don't get sued, you understand? And so all of it is fake, all of it is false. People saw through that. But back to the Republican 11th commandment, right? It's funny that they only use that when you poke the bear. And so I've thrown the 11th commandment right out the door. I'm here to tell you we're having a rally because Mr. Gonzales is doing the wrong thing. Greg Abbott is sitting on his hands, and a whole lot of Democrats who say they're for border security, Henry Cuellar, Vela, Escobar, and the other Gonzales are doing absolutely zero for this border district. We're in trouble, folks. The cartel own this area, and it's only going to get worse for our kids because, Isaac, let me tell you what happens in Eagle Pass, Del Rio, Hondo, and all these other places. Kids grow up, they move to San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, or Houston because that's where the jobs are, or Austin, of all places, because we don't have any of those here. And we're not going to get that here until the border security, the border is secured. And so that's what I'm working on. You don't have to be a congressman for that, but I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just exposing the truth. If it hurts, it's too bad.
Yeah, and one of the things that interests me whenever I was comparing your recent campaign run against Tony Gonzales was the big difference in finance, the campaign finance, that was funding, each of yours campaign. You have Tony Gonzales that neared close to $3 million in campaign finance, and your campaign reached, I think, a little bit above 400,000.
Yeah.
Typically, whenever you look at politics and stuff like that, the big thing is that, the one who can generate more money usually generates more votes. At least that's what the general thought is. One of the things that amazed me was such a slim margin, but yet such a wide gap in campaign finance. Can you touch anything about that as far as where's all this money coming from and what's going on?
I when I first started, I didn't know any better. I didn't wake up one day and said, or when I was 4 and I want to be a congressman, or I didn't work in Senator Rubio's office and was inspired to be a representative because that's what my opponent did. I wanted to come home and work. But you can't move to a place like Del Rio unless you work for Border Patrol, Laughlin Air Force Base, or have a government job. And I'm a cyberspace officer with a lot of international affairs experience in Central and South America. So, we moved out here to Medina County, and we tried out the junior college. We did great, and then we moved on. In fact, I went to Randolph Air Force Base. I gave all that up, folks, to run against a guy named Will Hurd because we had the same problem, and they weren't standing up for the one president who was at least solving problems. You don't have to like him. I'm not here to tell you to like Trump or whatever. What I'm telling you is we didn't have these problems, and we had the lowest unemployment ever. And it looks like we were becoming oil independent, and we were starting to think about getting jobs back into this area. All that's gone. But the money we raised came from people who I met all along the way. And for us, it was just, as I was starting to say, was because I didn't know any better. I told my campaign manager, and they're all volunteers. We didn't pay anybody, by the way. I said, just give me enough gas money and a hotel, or I'll sleep in the truck. The bottom line is line up every town hall you can. I want to meet as many people as I can, because that's how you have to represent folks. And I went back and forth all the way to El Paso. We ran through 2 cars, 4 sets of tires, and we did it all, under $400,000, I think, right at that. And the last 100 came in the very end. They were about to lose when they then went super negative, and that's where you hear these stories that you're talking about. In fact, I had like a Scarface on my, when they did the commercials on KSAT 12, and I mean, it was gross. I was like, who is that guy? Do I look like I have a Scarface? I mean, come on. And as we would say in my barrio, it was gacho, bro. It was gacho. But, they do that in politics, and because I'm not the guy that was going to sit back and watch this happen to our citizens, and I'm still not that guy. I'm not your congressman, folks, and we're bashing Tony, having a little bit at him because he deserves it. He made promises he's not keeping. and he won't explain himself on the asylum shelter. So God gave us all we needed. What I'm going to say is, I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to make national headlines here, I'm sure, but I'm pretty sure we beat him that night. I said they just didn't give us the win, and because that happened across America, and there's no conspiracy here on my part. We did a recount, but when you do a recount, you're simply recounting what they want you to recount, and that's it. And but nobody's whining or complaining, folks. We're big boys here. It's politics. We knew we were going to get persecuted. These ugly stories that you're talking about is part of it, and we moved on. But at the same time, don't sit there with a bunch of ranchers in Del Rio, like we saw this video, and complain because there's a delegation coming down into your neck of the woods. Well, it is because you're not doing the right things. And people are rising. They're creating their Facebook pages, their groups, and I think soon they're going to make enough noise. He's not going to be able to say you got to RSVP or you have to submit questions before we go anywhere. But let me say this again. It goes back to Greg Abbott. He can solve this. But he doesn't want to put up a fight against the federal government who has failed to defend Texas. That's really where the solution is. The problem I have with Gonzales and all the other representatives is they think more asylum shelters is going to help us. It's not. It's just going to fast track a lot more illegal aliens. And it's money we do not have. We're already $40 billion or $1 trillion in the hole. Who's going to pay that? Who is going to pay that? And so here we are on your show trying to make some noise. And hopefully we have a captive audience. So.
Yeah, we have a bunch of comments coming in. We've been hovering around 40 live viewers, and that's not counting the people that are going to see this after the fact. And that's,
let me do this. Let me do this. Hi, Tony, because I know he's watching.
Well, if he is watching, then I'll say hi, Tony, too. And if you can get back,
hey, you gotta get on the show, Tony. You got to get on the show, man. I know you like Victor, but Isaac's a great guy. You got to get on here.
No, yeah. I mean, and we really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and taking these questions, of course. Another thing that we were kind of wanting to ask is, I mean, we're not sure. Maybe it might be a little too early for you to ask. I know it wasn't, or to ask you. I saw in one of the comments somebody did throw out there if you were interested or if you're going to throw your hat in the race again in 2022. It might be a little too early to give us any kind of confirmation on that. But I mean, you do have some supporters in our comments. I mean, I've been reading, kind of peeking a little over here and there, and they're curious as to that. And where I'm going with that is that we saw Tony Gonzales when we came in, and me as a grant writer, I did have his campaign manager, Michael Blair, visit us out in the Maverick County Water Control and Improvement District. Yeah. And the support seemed to be there at the very beginning. One of the things is that after that, it's been very difficult to contact them at all. And also with this show and trying to get him, hey, if you can have some time for interview. And we did get somebody word back from them for a while. And then, we had to kind of chase again. And I really appreciate you being genuine enough to, come on and when you could, which is, we accommodate to a lot of our people that come on and take the time to, if it has to be a different day or a different time, but we really appreciate that. Another thing where I was kind of leading off, I touched a little bit out of base, but if you were to run again, you were to get elected, we see Tony Gonzales. We saw how he kind of veered into full politician mode. And I think that's what a lot of some of the viewers are concerned about, whether, okay, let's go vote for Mr. Reyes. We didn't like what we got in Congressman Tony Gonzales, but now we have a new candidate. Maybe we vote you in, and how are you going to play? I mean, do you have to play the politics at the big scale level the way it seems that Congressman Gonzales is playing? Do you stay true to your values? Or I guess that's what I'm trying to get touching on there.
Yeah, no. Look, the 18 months we were on the campaign, it's not, even if we knew better, and I'm gonna start by saying we didn't know any better. And I'm a man who all my life, it doesn't really matter what anybody says, and America's American. You do whatever you want to, And so when I didn't like Will Hurt enough, I resigned my position out at the base at Randolph Air Force Base. Great paying job. We have a construction company. We build homes. I would put that on throttle a little bit, and we got after it, and that's it. And so all along, people want to coach you and tell you things, but I tell you what, we make better strategists than some of the high paid dollar strategists out there, because theirs is kind of what Mr. Gonzales did at the end, just dirty tactics, tricks, and we were both Republicans, and never did once debate and or wanted to, and they made some gimmick about how I didn't show up. I'm like, give me a break. For us, the small amounts of money that we receive from bona fide American patriots, America First patriots, no kidding. I worked hard for all of that. I ran the miles off on the truck and on the car and off the wheels, everything. And so believe me, there's this pressure to back off the wall. Why do you keep saying the wall? And back off of abortion, and you can't love on Trump that much, and you can't bash certain people that much. And the answer is, that's not how I was raised. And people in Maverick County, they're in Eagle Pass and Del Rio, we're all good people. We have a very conservative, good Christian heart, whether you're Catholic, Baptist, it doesn't matter. Your abuelita and your abuelito are always looking at you. Your mom and your daddy are telling you how things go. Yeah, we got a few bad apples, but it's everywhere. And so we weren't going to contradict, our values and our ideals, certainly not our Christian ideals and our values. And what I tell everybody is, in this district, because they say we're 50-50, Isaac, 50% liberal. No, we're all conservative, and the proof is in Carrizo Springs. If you go there, they don't care about Democrat or Republican. What they care is that we don't have this asylum shelter where kids are sexually exploited. See, that's the biggest thing here, is we have proof that it happened in Bexar County. These asylum shelters, folks, they don't have any standards. This no bid contract, what it does is it allows them to spend the money to take care of kids, and nobody's doing oversight. CDC, which is CPS, the Child Protective Services of Texas, has thousands of children we cannot put in foster homes because it's a difficult situation. And now the federal government is taking 40,000 more and doing it better than we can. There's something wrong with this. Where are those children going? And so for asylum shelters to be propped up as the solution, we're just in the human and sex and child trafficking process. That's all it is. And that has to stop. Biden isn't providing any answers. Have you seen Kamala Harris down here anywhere? She's supposedly the border security czar, and we haven't seen her. That's about as bad as Mr. Gonzales is. He's everywhere, but he's not with anybody that was willing to ask him questions. We're going to surprise them soon. We're going to crack at him, and we'll get in there and ask questions. The sooner you get it done, Tony, the better, because we need an explanation of why asylum shelters are the answer. Now, one of the explanations I've heard is, well, we're not going to be able to do anything against Biden, so this is kind of what we have to do for now. No, it's not. You need to get your butt over to Greg Abbott's office and tell him to do something with this. You need to get John Cornyn. You need to get all the Democratic representatives along this border, Vela, Gonzales, Cuellar, and Escobar, and you need to team up with them and tell them, we have to stop this mess, because we cannot support 1 million or 2 more, which is what we're on track for, more illegal aliens. And folks, this is the underclass the elite want. This is the underclass they want, and they take good jobs away from some of our people. And it's America first, folks. That's either you're America first or you're not. That's kind of how I see it now, Isaac. So anyway, enough of my rant, but back to you.
No, yeah, I mean, and I totally, I couldn't disagree with you. I believe that a lot of what's getting lost in I don't want to say propaganda, but in a lot of stuff that we're hearing down here and it's getting lost is that our own people, are struggling. We have veterans that are homeless. We have our own people struggling, can't find jobs. Yet, there is a small a small section of the people coming over that are getting treated a certain way, where ours are just being left behind. And
Yeah, and let me tell you, the solution is for people to activate. This rally is one of many, folks. And unless Greg Abbott, unless Tony Gonzales, unless Rep. Vela, all these people, Gutierrez and Morales, the county judges, unless they see you activate and you make them worry about who you're gonna elect next time around, they're gonna sit and do the same thing. In Dimmitt County, like it happened in Donna, Texas, and El Paso, leadership did not even inform its citizens that they were going to do this. And we're trying to find out, does one of the commissioners in Dimmitt County own this land? Are these sort of what's happening? It's a tit for tat. And look, and the other thing that has to happen is, we've got to run candidates in the election process that are going to do what they say they're going to do. I think Eddie Morales, I think you had him on there, and he tried to explain why Maverick County alone should have a district attorney position or something, foregoing Zavala and Dimmitt. How nuts is that? He did a wonderful job of trying to explain it, but it was, man, like, are you serious? And you represent the whole counties. And by the way, it's the Republicans' fault anyway on this, because we ran a horrible candidate. I'm not even sure what kind of campaign our own guy ran. And so I'm advocating for folks, you got to run against the people that don't do what they say they're supposed to do. And or else this is kind of what we get. We get silence in the time of crisis. And then we get the wrong direction from people who said they were going to secure the border, build the wall, be Trump people, and they're anything but that. And so you don't have to like Trump, but we're not going there. But you at least have to be for America first, because at some point, we're not going to have an America if that many illegal aliens come in. And China, folks, is looming. China is looming in the horizon, and it likes what it sees here. And so, that's why we're here, to make some noise, get people activated. Go to that 15 May rally. It's going to be a Christians against sexual exploitation of children. That's why you see CASE up there, because it's a peaceful rally that we have. Rafael Cruz, great pastor, Pastor Tovar as well. I myself sometimes, quote the Bible, not that I'm a pastor or anything. And, but we're trying to do a good thing here. And the more people come out there, the more Abbott, Gonzales, and all these other people will see that. And, but you're going to have to activate. It's the only way we're going to solve this problem.
No, absolutely. And I think that's what we're seeing a little bit more of a trend is grassroots efforts are coming together to push the narrative that, what is actually going down here in the border. I see it a lot of the times that it takes a while for these bigger news medias to even cover certain things that are coming down here. Of course, you always have your certain ones where, they're 24/7, showing you what's going on, but somehow they're able to overshadow some of what's actually going down here and not disclose all the information or factual information, as it seems like you've been a victim of down here in Eagle Pass.
Well, look, what this says is look, don't look at Raul Reyes as perfect. What I'm telling you is I really have lived my life to honor mom and dad. I'm blessed to still have my parents, and because that's what the commandment says. And again, not professing that I'm perfect, what I'm saying, but I'm not a thief, and I'm not a cheater, and I'm not a stealer, whatever whatever the Eagle Pass leader put out there. And what that says is, if you're a citizen of Maverick County or any of these counties, your child is not good enough unless they're willing to be a puppet of the establishment, because that's what we have right now. You have to tote the line or else they won't help you. You mentioned money earlier. Yeah, the reason we had a lot less money is we didn't kiss the ring. We instead went to work and try to meet as many people. And sure, people met me. I mean, you see me at first, and maybe it's human being to go, I don't like his face, I don't like him, or he talks funny, I don't know, whatever the case may be. But we had the right values for this district. I mean, certainly we're more credentialed and we're more expert in the things associated with this border than Mr. Gonzales was himself. And but that's what happens is there's a machine that likes to bring in congressmen or representatives that they want, because you have to play ball. This is why they don't like Marjorie Greene. You heard of her? They don't like Matt Gaetz. They don't like Jim Jordan or Louis Gohmert. They absolutely did not like Donald Trump. These are the folks that refuse to get in line with the system that just keeps taking and taking and taking and does nothing for the citizens of its district. And, Donald Trump sort of showed that, although we already all know that anyway. And so the bottom line is, we've got to engage now, because I don't like to dodge questions. I heard the question of what are you going to do, because I didn't answer it. Right. Yeah. Trust me. I heard it. I'll answer it by saying this. Look, at this time, and none of this is, for any future cause. I'm from Del Rio. I have family there. I love these people. I hung out with a lot of people from Maverick. We'd go to Piedras when we were younger. I mean, I've done it all. And to do nothing is not an answer. Isaac, if nobody is exposing Tony Gonzales, Michael McCall, Kevin McCarthy, Dan Crenshaw, even Morales or Gutierrez or any of these other rhinos or Democrats that are bad for the district, who will? Not Eagle Pass Leader News. I've seen you throw down on the judge and everybody else. Good for you. That's what has to happen. Hold us all accountable. And so that's what I'm doing is I have a knack for research. I have a love for the country, for the state of Texas, for this district, and for the citizens that live here, because they're family and friends of mine. Unlike Tony Gonzales, I actually grew up here and live here. I didn't move into the district. And so that the answer is in the future. Right now I'm focused on this right here. What I can tell you is I will be on the November ballot. I'm gonna leave it there. That's it. I'm gonna be there one way or the other. But that doesn't mean I'm running for anything. I'm just telling you, be on the lookout. That's it. So none of that is happening right now. Right now we're just somebody's gonna grab that. Reyes says he's running. I'm like, no, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is the focus is border security, and let's get some attention down here and solve this problem. Governor Greg Abbott, a lot of respect for him, but right now he's sitting on his hands, and we're not liking it one bit. There's other people that are throwing in their hats for governor, and we need to start looking at those folks who can solve this problem at the governor's level. Bring me DeSantis. I like the Florida governor 100% right now. You see. So anyway, what else you got there, Isaac?
No, I mean that's pretty much sums up what we had. There was another thing that we wanted to talk about right quick that touches on a recording that the news leader put out when you were at a board meeting and with the Southwest Texas Junior College board meeting, and they actually have the recording on their website. It sounds like to me that your freedom of speech or the Open Meetings Act was being violated out there, but that's not what they were saying. So can you explain that?
Yeah, real simple. I left the junior college January of that year, and one of my former employees wanted to get an executive session. That's what the Open Meetings Act allows for, an executive session. So in the first 3 minutes of any of these meetings, if you put your name down on the list, and by the way, I'm in the audience. If I'm running from anything, why would I be in the audience, right? And I'm in the audience trying to ask the board president if he will allow a former employee to, at least an executive session, express their concern. And of course, they've seen this before, and he threw out the whole security or whatever. And I did say, I'm like, look, I understand you. I'm just trying to get some help here for one of my former employees. Well, they granted us the executive session, and it was over. Well, the Eagle Pass Leader News grabbed that and said, this is when I was fired. And but if you were to listen to that audio all the way to the very end, in the last 20 seconds, folks, it says that I had already resigned previously. So I'm there as not an employee. I'm there as a public citizen helping a former employee get their word in, and not even in public. They wanted to do it in private because they hadn't been able to get attention, and it worked. It worked. Unfortunately, that's what they grabbed that from, and then they mixed those apples with a bunch of rumors and lies. And so go ahead and go back to that audio. In the last 20 seconds, you'll hear the board president, Mr. Reyes, because he didn't even call me vice president, had already resigned. And I was just there as a citizen, and that was it. That was it. But this is politics, right? And this is what the Eagle Pass leader, I call him the Texas National Enquirer of South Texas, and because if you're going to do that kind of work, I mean, give me a break. And they're media. They're like the New York Times. They put out ugly stories, and all I can tell you is there is an FEC report where Mr. Gonzales gave them money, so that'll tell you everything. And of course, they're good buds and friends. I don't. Somebody do the research on that. I don't got any mixed bags of that. All I'm telling you is, don't come lying about us and not expect to eventually later hear about it. I mean, here we are. What I would tell you is Isaac, I appreciate the Rising Texan News. I've seen what you've been doing for the last several pieces here, months. You're doing fantastic. That's why I agreed to come on. And Victor Wheeler didn't call me. I mean, that's all there is to it. And the Eagle Pass Leader News doesn't want to get the truth. They never did. We reached out countless times. And so I'm not here to clear the air for the future, folks. Right now, I did ask Isaac, whatever you want to ask me, but the rally is the most important thing. 15 May, let's get down the road. And you got any other questions, I'm available. I'm not hiding from anybody. I've gone to town hall after town hall in support of securing this border and bringing jobs to this district. Nobody's running for anything, folks. I'm not a candidate for anything, and that's not in the mixed bags on any of this. Please come support these good folks in Carrizo Springs. If I've gotten your attention, I'm asking you to at least look at this and come visit us 15 May. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I want to tell you that, we value your time and we thank you. Again, we'll say the Texas Rally to secure the borders, 10 a.m. Saturday, May 15th at the Grace of God Community Church, 2209 North 1st Street in Carrizo Springs. There's several guest speakers that will be there, including yourself. Recognize Peter, recognize Frank Lopez, and hopefully we'll be able to be down there to meet some of these other great folks that are willing to come out and say something and hopes to change the situation that we have down here. But Reyes, I just want to say thank you again. We're hitting a little bit past over the hour. We don't want to take too much of your time. We do appreciate it. Taking the time with us and meeting with us when we usually have our shows on Wednesday at 8. So I don't know if there's any last words you have for the community watching right now. And we just want to thank you so much for taking the time.
Well, I definitely want to thank you for your time and having me on board. Folks, the main focus today was the rally. And but like I said, I gave Isaac carte blanche to ask me anything. And he has, and we cleared the air, not for any particular reason, but just remember this, you don't have to be a congressman or a representative. A citizen can act. I believe in what we did in the last 2.5 years. We affected a lot of change. We didn't want Will Hurd. He's gone. Well, we might have made it worse with Tony Gonzales. I'm not sure. But you can affect things. You just have to activate, and that's what we're asking you to do. We believe the good Lord is going to bless us with a nice large crowd. It's going to be safe. Prayer is at the forefront of what we're doing there. But leave no room for doubt. The citizens of Dimmitt County want to make some noise about getting some attention to these asylum shelters, which we believe are a travesty and a sin upon our nation. And as such, we want them out. That's why you see on there, secure the border, shut these things down. And when you go against that, Tony Gonzales or anybody else, we're going to call you out on it. And that's what you're seeing. So God bless all of you. Thank you for having me, Isaac. I had a great time being on here. Anytime you want to bring me back on board just to talk politics, I'd be happy to do it as well. And you can follow me on my pages, Lieutenant Colonel Raul Reyes, retired conservative Texan. I think it's going live on my page as well. So, and I'll keep pushing the Rising Texan as the news place to go. God bless you, and thank you for doing the right thing. Integrity is what we need to do, not just in journalism, but in representing the people. We forgot about that, and we need to bring it back. So thank you, Isaac. I appreciate you.
No, thank you, and hopefully we will have you on sometime very soon in the near future, and just to chit chat with us, just like you did today.
Thank you. God bless you. Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. So that was Raul Reyes. He's a retired lieutenant colonel from the Air Force. He was a cyberspace officer and regional affairs specialist. Most recently for being the opponent to Congressman Tony Gonzales. Again, he did not. Of course, Tony Gonzales is the congressman. Raul Reyes did lose that race by a very slim margin. We've been following him lately for his work that he has been doing in the region. Most notably, like he was trying to get this along with everybody else, the rally and happening in Carrizo Springs, in the Grace of God Community Church. And he's trying to do a grassroots efforts, as many of us are here down in the border, to bring awareness of the situation that we have. Of course, we did go off topic here and there, but the main issue was the border crisis that we are experiencing, and that's what we wanted to have him on. Like I said, we've seen him doing his efforts, trying to make things happen out here so change can happen and more resources can come in this area, and we can make the change and go back to how it was before we had the situation that we have now. We want to again thank Mr. Reyes for taking his time to visit with us, and we also want to thank you guys out there that took the time and gave a little peek and wanted to know something of what's going on and the story behind Mr. Reyes, of course. I'm just picking off at the comments. Rolando Salinas, we will be interviewing him soon. We haven't had an interview with him since him becoming the mayor, but absolutely, he did promise us he will be on this show soon and regularly scheduled time. We'll have him here explaining a couple of things to our community, like the community likes to know. One of the things that I did want to say, again, guys, we're not saying that anybody's running for a position. Mr. Reyes is not declaring that he's going to run or anything. We did wanted to bring you an interview with him so you can understand the situation from somebody that has experience and that could have been in the shoes that Tony Gonzales is in right now, and bring awareness to these centers, these facilities, these asylums that are being built with taxpayer money, and having a difficult with taxpayer money, and are just not really solving the situation, as we're seeing with countless videos, pictures, and on Facebook, Twitter, different social media sites, that we have a problem here and something needs to be done about this problem. So, guys, thank you for joining. Quick shout out, as always, to our sponsors. Our sponsors are the ones that take care of us and make sure we're able to bring these shows to you. So we got the Wagon Wheel Smokehouse and Saloon, guys. Go ahead and pick up. There may be a brisket shortage going on sometime in the near future. I don't know. They say there's a gas shortage. Maybe there's not going to be that much brisket out there. So I would hit up Wagon Wheel Smokehouse and Saloon, 830-513-7250, and they are located at 3283 Derulo Boulevard. Eat Fit Eagle Pass, guys. Hit up my boy Billy Perez. He's preparing you guys to blow past any plateaus that you've may been experiencing in your fitness goals. Nutrition, it starts with nutrition, guys. 70% of how you look, it's what you eat. 10 Masters, guys. 830-752-2420. Carl Kidd, hit him up. Absolutely best place to get your tents here in Eagle Pass. Give them a call again, 830-752-2420. give them a call, ask for different options that are available to you, and they can get your car, business, or home tinted up. Those windows, don't let that hot Eagle Pass sun come in. And the Ramos Law Firm, guys, when shit hits the fan, you got to call somebody that knows how to take care of you and your situation. So the Ramos Law Firm, 830-968-LAWS, that's 5297. 830-968-LAWS, that's 5297, the Ramos Law Firm. Guys, that's all we have for you today. I want to thank you guys for joining in. Those that were on, off, have been on the whole time. Again, we want to bring up, if you can, we may be bringing you this as a live stream come May 15th, Saturday, 10 a.m. Not too sure, but if you can make it out there, there's a bigger cause going out because of the situation of these asylums and of the border crisis that's going on in our area. So if you can make it out. If not, please support it, share it. I believe we have it on our page. Share it so we can get as many people to attend as possible to bring awareness to the situation down here in the border. Guys, thank you. Again, I always say that this thing was made for the community, by the community. That's what the Rising Texan stands for. And Raul Reyes did mention that that's what we're here for. And we wanted to ask him these allegations that were against him. So we wanted him to answer to these allegations that were being said about him. And he was here. He showed up. He answered. He made his points, and he even gave us a little tidbit to watch out this November. You never know what could happen, right? So, guys, thank you for joining. You guys have a nice night. As always, be safe. If you are in the area of El Indio and Veterans Loop, please be careful with those medians that are up. I hear they're causing some problems down there. We'll see you later, guys.